podcast made by basketball fans for basketball fans. From the hottest takes, news, analysis, and passion for the sport that we all love, this is the Fast Break Pod with Finn James and Will Tremaine. Welcome into the Fast Break Podcast, the podcast made by basketball fans.
For basketball fans.
Finn James.
Will Tremaine.
Back again with another episode 13. Jam-packed. It never isn't. We'll start with some world news. Will, last 48 hours, what's been going on?
It's been a lot of world sports going on this past weekend, but let's kick it off with our traditional sport, rugby. Lots of rugby action. 4 games we want to go over today. Starting off with the All Blacks, close loss to the French. This one hurt. 30-29 in Paris. Unfortunately, we couldn't get over in the end there, but few questionable decisions in my opinion, Finn.
The ref?
The ref as well, but going for the penalty on the last 3 possessions, instead of, having a stab and going for the corner, I think we were playing quite well. We had some good momentum, and their choice to go for the penalties, I think, just from my observations, I think that was a bit of a mistake that ultimately lost us the game. But there were some standout players in this one, Finn. Cam Roigard.
Ooh.
Man, he's good.
They shouldn't have taken him off.
No. Yeah, that's another thing. He came off at like 55 minutes, way too early for, in my opinion, the second best halfback in the world. So, yeah, lots to work on. Obviously, we got one more game against Italy. That should be a walkover.
Easy win.
I'd like to see some young talent get run out there and get some good game time.
Speaking of, Peter Larkai obviously got injected 5 minutes in with Sammy Penny-Finau getting ruled out with an HIA. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, he was definitely one of our star players, and I think I really like that loose forward trio of him, Satiti, and Savia. I think they're just absolute workhorses.
And I also think Savia playing on the open side is much better than him at 8. I
100%.
think Wallace in his natural position at number 8, a lot better. A lot better. And I don't think Sam Cane, he might be healthy for the Italy game, but chances of him playing, pretty slim. But
I think despite this loss, this is the most optimistic I've been as an All Blacks fan for the past few, probably since the Richie McCaw 2015 World Cup ended.
Oh, wow.
I think we're just showing that we've got a load of young talent coming on the rise. Was Lakai, Satiti, Tupou Vai at lock as well, and Roigard, of course. I think we're definitely building towards having a very competitive team at the next World Cup in Australia.
Yeah.
So,
it'll be interesting to see, for sure. Look, I think with the win on next weekend, which should be a walkover, I think that's 10 wins out of 14 for the boys this year. Personally, I'd give it like a C+ for the season, Will. I don't know about you, but dropping a game against Argentina in Wellington definitely stumped our record for the year. I think before the season started, I was sort of sitting at about, I'd say 11 wins, 12 wins would have been pretty good for us. I didn't expect us to beat Ireland, so that was cool. There was a lot riding on this French game for me. 30-29, we played really well, but like you said, few questionable decisions. I thought we should have kicked for the corner in the dying moments of that game, tried to go for the win, down 4 points. But look, the French are really good. One of the best teams in the world. Trying to do it in France, at Stade de France as well. Would have been a really hard feat. Playing in the white, I kind of liked it, actually.
yeah, they're nice jerseys.
Yeah, at first I wasn't a big fan. I saw them in white. I was like, I'm not sure how much I like it. But honestly, with the big black collar, I thought it was actually quite cool.
I would have been with you on the C+ after the Rugby Championship. We dropped those 2 games to South Africa and, of course, the one to Argentina. But after this Northern Tour, I'm definitely more impressed. Our only loss to the French by 1 in a very close game. We beat Ireland in Dublin. That was a massive win. And, of course, the close one over England as well. So I think all in all, there's some positives to take away from their season.
Yeah, definitely.
Rounding it out.
It'll be good to see how we go next year. And, of course, the 2026 World Cup. 27 World Cup it'll be. I mean, Richie Mwanga will be back by then as well.
We need him.
Which I think we're really going to be lacking in that 10 jersey for a while, especially if I think Bowden probably doesn't have that many years left. And I think he is better than Damien McKenzie. Although Damien McKenzie has been okay this season, I think he'll be hopefully better next year. But
he's just a bit inconsistent. He has some phenomenal games, and then some games where it's just it's hard to watch.
I agree. Like, Richie Mwanga really needs to come back. And the thing is, our future in the 10 jersey, not too bright, to be honest. I mean, you got players like Harry Plummer. I mean, Parafeta can slot into there, but I don't know how world-class. I mean, Ruben Love could also play 10. That was his traditional position before switching to fullback. But yeah, I'm not sure how deep our position at 10 is. So It'll be interesting to see who the first fives coming through in the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years are. Sure, the Rico Simpson from the Blues, younger gun
Peyton Spencer
as well. Yeah,
You
is
know,
that
son of a
Spencer's?
legend.
Yeah, Carl
Yeah.
Spencer's son. There's a few players, but I don't know. It's going to be really hard to kind of back up what Dan Carter did.
Yeah.
And then going for, I mean, Aaron Cruden was pretty good for a number of years as well. And
mean-
Bowden Barrett, of course, was excellent. But
DC's the GOAT for a reason.
oh, absolutely. He's untouchable. Any other games, Will, in that, and I don't know what you would even call it, international window, I guess?
The Northern Tour. South Africa 29-20 win over England. We had Ireland beating Argentina in a very close one.
It was a good one.
22-19.
Good game.
I think that's positives for Argentina in that one. And Australia, they obviously need wins like this. They've been struggling all year. To beat Wales 52-20. Obviously, Wales have been abysmal. I think they've lost every game so far this season. They lost all their Six Nations games they lost to Italy as well. So they're definitely a team that is on the downfall, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But,
Wales really haven't been world-class rugby team for a number of years now. Obviously, back in the day, between that like 2011 to 2015 reign of the All Blacks, they were actually a pretty solid team. But like in recent years, Wales have definitely just decreased in form. Aussie getting a 32 win. Honestly, Aussie actually aren't looking as bad as I thought they would, considering they started the year off pretty poor. Joseph Swali's looking excellent in the Wallabies jersey. It'll be interesting to see what Joe Smith pulls together in the next 3 or 4 years for the Wallabies.
And that win over England last week, that
Huge,
was big as well.
massive.
No one saw that one coming. So, yeah, definitely a positive tour for the Wallabies. But let's move on. The All Whites. What happened with the All Whites, Finn?
They got an 8-1 win over Vanuatu on Friday night for the World Cup qualifiers. They continue their last game of pool play against Samoa tonight. Should be another easy win. Chances are the All Whites are probably going to come out of this. I think it's the Oceania region. Obviously, the World Cup has been extended to more teams, so we no longer have to play a winner from or a runner-up from the South American region anymore. So the All Whites are going to be at the next World Cup. Very good chance. Chris Wood probably going to at the next World Cup, if he plays well, he could be up there for greatest football in New Zealand history. Obviously, Winton Roofer up there as well. And he had one player of the month in the Premier League. I think he's second in goal scoring. So Chris Wood putting New Zealand on the map in terms of football. And it's cool to see that hopefully we'll be at the next World Cup, which is in, I think, the US, Canada, and Mexico. So that's in 2 years' time, which is really sick.
Yeah, definitely. New Zealand football is on the rise, I think.
I think so too.
And some more sad news coming out of the cricket world, but I think this was just a matter of time, Finn. I'll let you have the floor with this one. It's your boy.
Yeah, Tim Southey just announced his retirement from Test cricket for the Black Caps. He's played 104 matches. He's going to be finishing off his career with the England Test Series, which is later on this month. I think it starts next week. So he will play his last ever Test match for the Black Caps at Seddon Park. He's had a really good career, probably one of our best seam bowlers of all time. He's played 104 matches so far, will finish on 107. He's taken 385 wickets in Test cricket. So a very, very good career. I think 16 years he's been playing Test cricket, 18 years in the Black Caps camp. He hasn't said anything about his white ball career yet, so T20s and ODIs he'll still be hanging around for a little bit longer. Will, UFC 309, I'll let you take the floor for this one. Obviously, you big MMA head.
Yeah, lots of combat sports this weekend, which I always love. UFC 309, John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. John Jones regarded by many as the GOAT. Personally, not my GOAT. You know, I don't like drug cheats and women beaters. Not my type of guy. But he fought Stipe Miocic, who's also known as the heavyweight GOAT. And this was defending his title for the first time. Not many people gave Stipe a chance in this one. He's 42 years old. I didn't give him a chance either. I think this was quite embarrassing that John Jones even fought him, in my opinion. I think Aspinall was the clear-cut guy that he should have been fighting. And it went as expected. John Jones with a beautiful spinning back kick to the body that that dropped Stipe Miocic and finished him off with ground and pound. But yeah, went as expected. But the co-main event was really the highlight of the night for me. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler 2. This one went to decision, which not many pundits had this one going to decision. Oliveira was dominating him for about 4.5 rounds. Got his back multiple times. I thought he was going to get the choke in. And then in the late fifth round, Michael Chandler had a little flurry where he hurt Oliveira. But it was little bit too late. And Oliveira ended up coming away with the unanimous decision win. And I think he'll be fighting Islam next for the belt. As for Jones, he said he only wants to fight Alex Pereira. He's ducking Tom Aspinall because I think we all know what would happen in that one. I think Aspinall's just the young guy on the rise. He's finished all of his opponents in the first round. He's unstoppable, and I don't think John Jones wants that smoke. So I think it's going to be retirement for him because Dana White's already said that it's Tom Aspinall or no one for John Jones. But yeah, sorry for that little ramble. MMA news, and we also had another fight that happened this weekend. Finn. What happened in this one? Mike Tyson, Jake Paul.
I just, first of all, why is this a fight? I think Jake Paul needs to fight an actual boxer. All he's done is fought MMA people or a washed-up goat in Mike Tyson. Went the distance, 8 rounds of 2 minutes each. I don't know how a 58-year-old managed to survive that long in a ring. I think I would have just fallen over from pure exhaustion as a 58-year-old. Jake Paul won. I mean, as expected, if it's going to go the distance, Mike Tyson's gas tank doesn't exist anymore. He's 58 years old. First 2 rounds went to him, though. I just really wanted to see one punch just absolutely deck Jake Paul. Didn't happen. But, yeah, look, Jake Paul gets a win. If it's scripted, fair play to Jake Paul. They both would have got a bag from this, too. Netflix would have paid a crazy amount
to get that on Netflix. $50 million for Jake Paul and $10 million for Mike Tyson.
50 mil?
50 mil for Jake Paul. But this is just... I'm sorry, this is embarrassing. I could not stand watching this fight. This was just Jake Paul, the most just horrible person to watch. I can't stand this guy or his brother. 27-year-old, and he goes out there fighting a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Everyone knew this was how it was going to go. The fact Mike Tyson survived all 8 rounds is a win for Mike Tyson in my books. Jake Paul should have got him out of there and won against a 58-year-old. He is not a good boxer. He will get absolutely schooled by any high level. Canelo Alvarez would sleep him. I just think it's embarrassing he even went out there and fought Mike Tyson, and he's still claiming it's a great victory for him. It's just abysmal showing. I don't know what I'm more embarrassed about, Jake Paul or John Jones. Both just terrible human beings.
Jeez. But it was a lose-lose situation for Jake Paul.
Yeah, 100%.
If he loses to Mike Tyson, then that's a lose-lose. Like, you're losing to a 58-year-old. And if you win, everyone's just going to say you fought a 58-year-old. So there was really no winning situation for Jake Paul. But, I mean, I guess he did beat Mike Tyson in the end of the day. But
fight a real boxer. I mean, the only person you could somewhat say was a real boxer that he fought was Tommy Fury. I mean, even that guy's kind of part-time in the boxing world. But we saw how that went. He lost by split decision. So fight a full-time professional boxer who's the same age as you, and you'll get fraud checked.
Yeah. So that's all for the world news. What's been going on in the NBL as we shift our focus, Will?
Yeah. James Bateman, Brisbane Bullets. He got the new NBL record in 10-minute quarters for points in a game. 51 points.
Damn. That's all I gotta say. In. We'll probably get into a little bit more as we break down the games of the round, but Chris Golding obviously held the record back when he got it on the Melbourne Tigers a number of years ago. Dropped a 50-piece. It was really cool, an Aussie having the points record for the 10-minute era for the NBL. But James Bateman came out in a game where Brisbane really needed to win because they've been struggling at the bottom of the table. He's been coming off the bench most of the year, gets the starting nod. Comes out and drops 51 points of pretty damn good efficiency as well. Absolutely hunting for that record in the back end of the fourth quarter. I think he needed 6 points in the last minute and a half.
Yeah.
Hit a really tough fadeaway 3 and then got an and 1 at the end of the game. Hit the free throw. 51 piece for James Bateman. Congratulations to him. That is not an easy feat. To score 50 points in a 40-minute game is really, really hard. So congratulations to James Bateman. And again, this is a league that has crazy good defense. It's not like they didn't want him to score 50. They were trying to stop everything. And 1 goes to show that it wasn't easy.
I'm surprised they weren't throwing more double teams at him, to be honest, Finn, once he got around that 40-point range.
They couldn't stop him. He was hitting some really tough shots, but the defense on the night was just so poor from Perth. But yeah, he got a 51 piece, and look, congratulations to him. Hopefully this might be a really big turning point for James Bateman and the Brisbane Bullets as they try push for that 6th spot. With 9 rounds down, I think we've got 21 to go. So still a lot. 21 to go, 21 more rounds, 30-round season, I think, or 30-game season. So I think they have 30 games left or something like that. But look, huge for James Bateman. Proud of him. Well, what happened in the Melbourne United vs Adelaide 36ers game, before we jump into our game recap of the round, some bit of an altercation here.
Yeah, this was funny to watch. Well, not funny, but it was amusing to watch.
Yeah, entertaining.
Big fight kind of broke out between Melbourne and Adelaide. Montrezl Harrell charged into Rob Lowe. The refs called it a charge, as it should have been. But then he kind of fell down on top of Rob Lowe and gave him a little push on the ground, and that kind of just ignited all of the tempers and everyone else. Shea Ili, Kiwi lad, he got in there. He was going back and forth with Montrez. And then it looked like Montrez threw kind of a little like jabbing punch at Shea Ili. They obviously had to be separated. Both of them ended up getting ejected from the game. And then what happened with the fans after that, Finn?
Yeah, like the little scuffle between the two teams wasn't even the best part about the whole thing. So obviously both teams fled to the bench as the referees and officials reviewed what had happened to see who'd get thrown out, who caused what. The fans courtside on the Adelaide bench in Melbourne, obviously they're playing in Melbourne, John Cain Arena, they got into it with Adelaide, apparently shoving the general manager of Melbourne. I think one of them also shoved DJ Vasiljevic at one point. Kendrick Davis was not happy. Yeah. Kendrick Davis looked like he had fire in his eyes. He wanted smoke with these fans courtside. Montrezl Harrell was not happy. 4 fans were ejected courtside from the game. Just absolute clowns, in my opinion. You can be there, sit courtside, you can cheer on, you can talk your smack to the team. I don't care, that's fine. You're a fan of the other team. You're obviously there in a home and court advantage. But as soon as you put hands on somebody from the opposition team, or a player in general, or a staff, that is not allowed. You cannot do that. It's just not where the game should be going. As a fan, you should be respectful enough to understand that these are human beings too. They're your entertainment for the night. You should not be getting into it with players. Shut your mouth, sit down and enjoy the game.
Yeah, what a bunch of idiots. Glad they got kicked out. I'd love to see them get a lifetime ban. I think that's bare minimum in my opinion.
Yeah.
Don't want to ever see them at a basketball game ever again. And you could tell that they knew they were in the wrong, because as they're walking out of the arena, they have their hoodies up trying to cover their face. Just a bunch of idiots.
Clowns.
Get rid of them all.
Yeah, so didn't like that at all. It's just not a place for the game. Fans like this shouldn't be allowed to attend NBL games. It's disruptive. It's not good. You're not there to be the main center of attention. Yeah. The people in front of you are. So I don't know why they had to get involved. But we'll move on from that. Well, what's been happening? Round 9. Obviously, it's all wrapped up. What are some of the games? We'll go through them all that have stood out to you.
Round 9. We had some weird scoring games in this one. Some unexpected ones that I didn't see coming. But we'll start off with Tasmania against Brisbane. This was a 95-92 point win for Tassie. Milton Doyle was cooking in this one, Finn. He finished with 32 and 7 boards. He was 8 for 11 from 3 as well.
Damn.
So he could not miss. Keandre Cook tried his best to keep Brisbane in it. He had 23 points and 5 steals, but ultimately couldn't get them back in this close one. Big win for Tassie there as they try to climb closer to that top 6 in the standings.
Yeah, obviously they were bottom of the table for a while until they got a massive win over the Breakers last round. So good win for Tassie. Milton Doyle heating it up again. Moving on to the next game, Perth 97-84 win over the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. I think this is Bryce Cotton's first game back.
Yeah.
He came back in with a bit of a flash of vintage Bryce Cotton. 33 points on the night, which is huge for Perth. They were struggling a little bit without him. And this is a really good sign. Dylan Windler, probably his best game of the season, Will. Do you want to get into him? I know you were a big fan of him before he got into the league.
Yeah, I was expecting to see more from him starting out the season. I think this was probably his best game so far. He had 20 on 8 of 9 shooting.
It's really good.
Very efficient. You need to see more of that out of him. But as we'll see when we get to Perth's other game, he kind of had a quiet one in that. Yeah. So he needs to just be more consistent, I think, and show flashes of that OG G League Dylan Windler, I think. And
Absolutely.
Matt Hurt for Southeast Melbourne, he led the way with 27 and 10, as he's been doing most of the season. But yeah, ultimately couldn't bring this one back. 13-point loss for them.
Yeah, Illawarra got a win over Sydney, 86-79. Trey Kell, once again, probably one of the best players on this team, 19 points. Hwai Hyong Lee, 16 off the bench. Good 3-point showing from him. Jalen Adams with 23. But, at the end of the day, 7-point win for Illawarra. I think they're 3rd on the table right now. Sydney just kind of creeping down. I think they've dropped into 5th. Still trying to figure it out. Just too much talent.
Yeah.
Too much talent for Brian Gorgian. But yeah, and then what happened in the Melbourne-Adelaide game? Obviously, we had the scuffle. But anything else to point out?
Yeah, obviously the scuffle, but Flynn Cameron, I think he was one of the highlights in this game. He had 7 threes and 21 points, so scoring all of his points from threes. Yeah, he was a standout player for me. And Ian Clark-Finn.
20 points off the bench for Ian Clark.
Yeah.
Pretty efficient game, 4 threes for himself. Melbourne did end up winning this one by 20 points, 113 to 93. Following the scuffle, pretty close. I think it got within 5 points in that fourth quarter, but yeah, Melbourne just got away at the end. Good on Melbourne. They're obviously top of the table. They played 14 games. They're one, I think, very closely ahead of the Breakers. So, you know, we got a big win over them not long ago, but they're still proving that they're probably the best team in the league, but I mean, maybe even behind us. But yeah, and the last game to round out, Brisbane, the James Bateman 50 piece, they got up over Perth, 105-84. Of course, like we said, James Bateman, 51 points, absolutely ridiculous. Keanu Pinder had a pretty good game though, Will.
Yeah, he had 27 points, trying his best to go back and forth with Bateman, but obviously it wasn't enough in the end. Bateman, I mean, can we just talk about his efficiency as well? For 19 for 28 is extremely
really
good. And he had 9 threes. I think it was 9 for 15 from 3 as well. So it wasn't just one of those he's chucking up a bunch of shots to get to his 50. They were efficient buckets that he was getting all night long. And Cotton for Perth, he struggled in this one.
Yeah.
He only had 3 field goals. I think he was 3 for 15. So
Damn.
Bit of a poor showing from Bryce Cotton.
Give him time. He's only just come back from his
exactly.
injury, but look, I mean, to go from 33 points to, I think, did he even hit double figures?
Yeah, I think he had 12.
Yeah, just like not what you want to see from your number one guy, but yeah. Good signs from Keanu Pinder continuing to just kind of have, you know, some really good games here and there. But I mean, ultimately, he's been pretty average this year. But it's good to see when somebody like Bryce Cotton can't step up when he's back on the court. You got your second option in Keanu Pinder who can come in with a 27 piece. But
I mean, I think Perth they're a dangerous team if they can just get consistent good games from Keanu Pinder and Dylan Windler.
Yeah.
Those two guys, if they just each go out there and get 15 a night, and Bryce Cotton does his thing, I think Perth are definitely one of the best teams in this league.
Yeah, and you got people like Ben Henshaw, the youngster, coming through as well. He's kind of stepped it up in Bryce Cotton's absence too. So they have pieces. It's just a matter of them getting all together, and Bryce Cotton probably needs to score over 20 points a game for them to kind of get over the line. And you got lights of Keanu Pinder having to chip away at it as well. But, well, what's been going on? Breakers, game against Cairns. Going into this one, I was pretty confident, despite us going down really big to Tassie. But the game didn't really go as I expected. Obviously, we came out with the win. But what was your take on it?
Yeah, game of the round, as all the Breakers games are. We came away with the win in this one, 77-69 in the end. It was a close game, back and forth. We just managed to pull away there in the fourth quarter. After Rob Edwards kind of fouled out, you saw that momentum shift towards the Breakers.
Definitely.
That may have played a part in us winning the game ultimately.
Definitely. It was the only probably reason we won.
Which, I mean, that's not the best look for the Breakers. We obviously want to be winning these games, even if Rob Edwards was there for the whole time.
Should be winning them comfortably, too.
Yeah. I mean, it was in Cairns, to be fair, but, I mean, Rob Edwards, let's give him his flowers. He had 33 points, efficiently as well, 13 for 23. So he was obviously their main go-to guy.
He was cooking us.
And on the other end of the spectrum for Cairns, Taran Armstrong, I mean, a guy that we were both quite high on going into the season. He really struggled in this one. He was 1 for 9 from the field. And in those late, last 4 or 5 minutes of the game where they were really trying to close that deficit, he had 2 air balls. I was watching this one live, so, I mean, just watching that, 2 air balls, you don't want to see that especially from a guard, your main guard on the team. Yeah.
Somebody needed to step up with Rob Edwards getting fouled out. First of all, I had no idea what the Cairns coach was thinking, keeping Rob Edwards out there with 4 fouls with 6 minutes left. They were obviously going to go at him. PJC drew an offensive foul late in the game, got him fouled out. Complete momentum switch, because he was cooking us from the get-go, honestly. Yeah. We had no answer for him. He was hitting threes, getting to the hoop. He was setting up his teammates, but no other player on Cairns was in double figures that night. So, you know, it's good to see that the Breakers defense was good outside of Rob Edwards, just literally cooking us. I don't even think our defense against Rob Edwards was bad. He was just making really tough buckets. So for him to go out, I was pretty confident after he got fouled out we were going to win the game. And like you said, Will, we just chipped them off at the end.
I mean, he's always been a bucket, Rob Edwards. It's just the main problem with him has been efficiency.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I mean, in this one, 13 for 23, it's a great game from him. If he can keep that up, I think he's one of the best players in the NBL.
Yeah.
But what happened with the Breakers, Finn? Who were the standouts for us in this one?
Pretty sloppy game all round, to be honest. I think we shot 42% from the field, so not the greatest we've seen. Matt Mooney top scored with 15 points on average efficiency. PJC only 11 points on the night. Well, I was getting pretty nervous. Obviously, I have said on multiple episodes, Parker Jackson Cartwright will never score less than 10 points in a Breakers jersey. We went to the fourth quarter, I think he had 7. I was a bit nervous. He was 3 for 11 on the night, Will. But he, like we've always said, if PJC's not scoring, he always finds a way to impact the game on a different level. What did he do?
In this one, I mean, usually it's the steals or the assists where he steps it up. In this one, it was the rebounds. He had 7 boards, led the rebounding department for the Breakers.
How?
At 5'9". Is he 5'8", 5'9"?
9'10".
9'10". Short, yeah. And
Not
four
a
of
midget, that was rude.
like
Short.
some people might say, oh, they're just the lucky defensive rebounds that are falling to him. No, 4 out of his 7 were offensive boards. So I mean, great showing from PJC on the rebounding end of the floor. Obviously, his shot wasn't falling tonight. We're all gonna have off nights in the game of basketball. No doubt he'll step it up and probably drop 20 plus in the next game.
Yeah, I didn't think he played bad, but it was good to see that, yeah, he could impact the game on a different way. Grant Anticevich got the nod. Jonah Bolden, obviously, with that calf injury he got against Tassie, he's out for 3 to 4 weeks, probably going to come back in round 13. So Grant Anticevich with the nod to start at power forward along Sam Meninger at center. Jump shot looking smooth, a lot better from the start of the year, although it looked good at the start of the year. Wasn't hitting as much as I wanted him to, but he's come out and he's been decently efficient, getting those early on 3-pointers that we need. Obviously, we'd love to stretch the floor on the Breakers with Sam as well. So it was good to see him get the nod. I was happy with it. I wasn't sure who we were going to put. I honestly thought Freddie might have started at the 4, but that wasn't to happen. Grant Anticevich with the nod. I was pretty happy with his performance. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, his jump shot is probably one of the nicest looking jumpers in the NBL. I mean, and in basketball in general, I love watching him play. And he came out straight out the gates. He hit back-to-back threes to start off the game for us. Yeah, I think that was a smart decision, starting him at the 4. I think if Freddie started, it would have been at the 5, and he would have slotted Sam at the 4.
Yeah, potentially.
But I think it's good to have Freddie with that impact off the bench because, I mean, Freddie's been good the last 5-6 games. For the
Very
Breakers.
good off the
Very
bench.
good. Let's talk about it, Finn.
Let's lead into our next point. Look, this I think it's safe to say that was probably Freddie Gillespie's last game in a Breakers jersey.
Yeah, sad to say.
It's very sad.
I don't think we've done him right.
Will and I have definitely had our opinions on Freddie since he came into the Breakers, starting in preseason, where we weren't really sure what we wanted to see from him. We wanted to see a decoy candidate. We wanted to see potentially an option. We gathered pretty quick that offensively he wasn't the greatest, but defensively he was supposed to be good. Didn't start the greatest, but in the last, I'd say 5 games, really come into his own off that bench spot, averaging about 20 minutes a game. I think he was leading the league in blocks at one point.
Yeah, he was a decoy candidate. Like
Genuine.
He was a genuine up there to win decoy this season. So, I mean, I don't think that, we've given him a fair shout in terms of moving forwards with him.
Yeah, so
I think he's really fit that perfect backup center position, and I don't see anyone replacing him doing a better job.
But, look, at the end of the game, the team embraced him. It looks like that's going to be his last game. There's been a few, reports and inklings around the league that the FIBA window that is happening now, no games this weekend following, obviously with the international break, with all the qualifiers for said regional tournaments, like with the Tall Blacks going away. Freddie is no longer going to be with the team. He is joining potentially, I've seen a report on this, an Italian club called Olimpia Milano, so he's probably going to be heading off, which is really sad to see because Freddie was he was warming up to me quite a bit. It's still really early on in the season, but, my take a few weeks ago, Taco Fall coming all the way to little old New Zealand as a rehab practice player, it never sat right with me. I knew exactly what was going to happen as soon as it happened. So obviously with Freddie heading off and import spots opening, chances are when we come back against the Illawarra Hawks on the 28th of November for that first game after the FIBA break, I have a very, very strong feeling that Taco Fall is probably going to be the latest Breakers signing this season.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Taco's your guy, Finn, but ultimately, he's going to be coming off the bench. I don't think he's going to take Sam's starting position.
No way.
Well, he definitely shouldn't.
Not deserved.
And I don't think Taco Fall is going to be a good NBL player. Please prove me wrong.
I'd love
But
him
I
to.
just don't see it. Being 7'6", he's going to be so slow in a fast-paced game. I don't think he's going to be able to get back on the defensive end in time if they've just scored a bucket. I think he's going to be a bit of a liability on defense. Obviously, if he's back there in set plays, he's going to be probably the best rim protector in the NBL. Probably in NBL history at 7'6". No one's getting layups over Taco Fall. But yeah, I don't think he's going to fit the NBL game. Not to say he's a bad player. I just don't think he's going to fit in this fast-paced league, Finn.
Yeah, I agree. And I just think we've done Freddie really dirty here. The front office, they've made some decent decisions in the past. Bringing Modi in, he had a really good set, giving him a chance. Obviously, he went away from the team to Japan this season, bringing in Pateri, who's proved to be a very good coach. But let's be honest, this Taco Fall signing, I'm not sure how impactful this will be on a team standpoint. I think it's quite selfish. I think they've done it for a bit of a marketing scheme. I understand it's going to be huge for the league and huge for the Breakers, having one of the most popular basketball players on this planet just due to his sheer size and love from fans across the globe. But in terms of a winning play for the Breakers to potentially win the NBL 25 season, I'm not sure how much I like this.
Yeah, I mean, we still love you, Breakers.
Well, yeah, of course.
Big fans, but we think you missed it on this one.
I think they have.
Yeah, poor Freddie. I mean, I think he was going to be great for us. He already was.
He already was.
In those last 5 games, he was just proving that he was getting better and better every single game. I think it just took him some time to fit his game into the NBL. It's a different type of basketball. It's not like American basketball. No. So, I mean, I think he just needed that time to really figure it out. And I think he had. And now we've dropped him just at the time where he's, really figured it out.
It is sad. Yeah, I think we've just done him dirty. He seemed like a really likable dude. It seems like the teammates absolutely loved him as well. He was a big part of that American tour, seemed to be embracing it quite a bit as well. So, and Taco was there. I feel like Freddie might have known this was going to happen for a while. So, chances are he was probably looking for another team to play for. Obviously, looks like he's got a contract in Italy for the rest of the year, which I'm really happy for him.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's not going to be jobless.
And we'll keep you updated on how Freddie goes.
Yeah, maybe we will. We'll have a look.
We'll check in on him and how he's playing for Olimpia Milano.
Upsetting. But look, Taco Fall, if he comes in and he proves us all wrong that he was the missing piece that we needed, even though we are second on the table, it looked like things were clicking, especially with Mojave King and Max Darling still out with injury.
I'll happily be proven wrong.
Same with me. If Taco Fall can really prove that he is a genuine piece on this team, happy days. It was the right call, but I just can't see it happening with his size and his lack of athleticism for a very fast-paced basketball league. I'm not sure what's going to happen. So, look, maybe he does debut in the next game against the Illawarra Hawks, which is a huge one. Obviously, they're third on the table, so pretty high top-of-the-table clash there. And, look, I hope he proves me wrong, but that's all we have for the Breakers and NBL front. We'll head over to the NBA, which has been absolutely cooking and heating up in the last week. There's been so much going on, Will.
Yeah, quickly, speaking of, the next Breakers game is on the 28th against the Hawks. So there's going to be a week's break for that FIBA international window. So next week's episode, we're going to do an exclusive NBA breakdown for you guys. Maybe with a special guest, who knows?
Potentially.
We'll see. So yeah, stay tuned for that one. And of course, we'll also break down the international games, the Tall Blacks in that one as well. But yeah, getting into the NBA news, let's start it off with who other than De'Aaron Fox. This guy, I mean, I was sitting there, I was watching the UFC, and I happened to just tune in. I wasn't watching NBA, of course, at the time. Check my phone, De'Aaron Fox, 60 points. Crazy. And then the very next night, back-to-back nights, 49. 109 points on back-to-back nights. That's the third most points all-time in NBA history. The only two people to eclipse him in that one, Finn. Can you guess who the two players are?
I think Wilt.
Wilt, as every record has Wilt number one.
I'd say maybe Kobe.
Bang on, mate.
Really?
Kobe Bryant, yeah. The only two players to get more than De'Aaron Fox.
Damn.
So a stellar back-to-back night for De'Aaron. He's looking phenomenal this season. And the Kings are looking good as well. I think they're going to be a team to team to watch out for when it comes playoff time.
I wasn't sure how the Kings would do this year, adding DeMar DeRozan to their team, but seems to be working.
And DeMar DeRozan, he's averaging 25 on the season as well.
There
He's
you go.
not looked this good since his Toronto Raptors days.
Boom.
Very high on DeMar DeRozan. But yeah, it's been quite a historic week with
So much.
NBA. Some extremely high-scoring games, individual games. Who else stood out this week, Finn?
None other than the alien, Victor Wembanyama. We'll
Can
be
we call
honest.
him that?
What, an alien?
An alien?
I mean, look, he's
Is that
7'5".
PC?
We'll get into that in a little bit. Look, Wemby's had a pretty, I wouldn't say quiet year, but I think people probably thought he would have taken a bigger leap. But I mean, people got to remember that he's 20 years old in his second season, but he's only gone and broke a record. Dropped his first 50 points of his NBA career. But here's the catch, Will. 26 minutes it only took him. The fastest 50 points in NBA history. Funnily enough, that is more than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has ever scored in his NBA career. 50 points from the alien on 8 3-pointers.
Yeah.
What is going on? Surely the Spurs coaching staff are yelling at him to get in the paint. He took 15 threes on the night, but he scored 50 points.
Yeah, he was absolutely cooking in this one. I was watching this game live. I had this weird inkling feeling before the game that Wembanyama was going to have a crazy one. And I messaged all the guys, and it's there. It's on the records.
It is.
I said Wembanyama is going to have a quadruple double in this game. And I may have been wrong, but
He still
he still had a phenomenal game. 50 points, 26 minutes. I mean, I'd love to have seen him out there for longer.
Was against the Wizards.
Against his
To be
fellow
fair-
countryman, Alex Sarr.
And Jordan Poole actually had 42 on the game as well. So it was a really entertaining game of basketball. But
And that wasn't even the best individual performance of that night, Finn. Who did that title belong to?
Giannis, 59 against the Pistons in an OT win. Ron Holland had a chance to ice the game. I think the nerves might have got to him. Missed 2 free throws on a foul that wasn't even a foul. First of all, not sure how that got ruled a foul on Giannis, but
The ball
doesn't
lie.
lie. Ball doesn't lie. OT win. Giannis on 59 scored a 3. I can't believe that Wemby's 50 piece wasn't the best game of the night because Giannis dropped 59 on the exact same night.
It could be close when you take into consideration that Wemby only played 26 minutes. But obviously,
Well, he came back
59 for
on.
Giannis.
He did come back on.
Yeah.
But he got it in 26 minutes. Yeah, but I feel like considering this was an overtime win for a Bucks team that has been struggling like crazy, I understand it was against the Pistons, who surprisingly haven't been as bad as I thought because Cade Cunningham has been outstanding this year.
Yep.
So has Jalen Duren. Pretty solid year for Jalen Duren.
And Jaden Ivey.
As you alluded to earlier, Jalen Duren you think could potentially be a really
I'm
good
high on
center
Jalen
later on
Duren.
in his career. So the Bucks are struggling. So for Giannis to go out and drop a 59 piece, bit of a what am I looking for? An exclamation on the league. Put on notice. There's been some reports or maybe some rumors. Well, do you think it's time the Bucks potentially might have to move on from him?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're 4-9 now. Obviously, an abysmal start for the Bucks. On the other opposite end of the standings where they want to be, I think they're not even in the play-in. I think they're 11th or 12th in the East. You can't be losing like games like this. And the Bucks are finally starting to talk about potentially moving on from Giannis. And one team I've heard rumblings about that seem to be very interested in him is none other than the Houston Rockets.
Wow.
I mean, I think this makes sense because obviously any team that's going to trade for Giannis is going to have to send the Bucks a massive package of young players, first-round picks, and I think there's only a few teams in the league who can do that. Houston Rockets, OKC, Portland. Not that I want to see him, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think there's a limited amount of teams who can actually pull off that trade. Houston seemed to be very interested. I wonder what a trade package would look like for him. Probably like, would you have to give up Sengun or Jalen Green, one of those guys?
I think you would. I think you'd also have to give up somebody like Amen or Reed Shepherd.
At least 4 or 5 first round
a lot
picks.
of first round picks. You'd have to give out somebody pretty damn good for a package of Giannis, who potentially is still top 5 player in this league. Depoy candidate, MVP winner, champion, has won Depoy as well. But Bucks need to sort it out. I mean, you've got a team with Dame and Giannis on your team. In the Eastern Conference as well, which is disgracefully weak. Only the top 3 teams in the East have a positive record. They shouldn't be 4-9 with a team. Obviously, Gary Trent has been stinking up the gaff. Brooke Lopez has been average. But yeah, when you have a team with Giannis and Dame, you shouldn't be 4-9.
They don't have Chris Middleton back yet, to be fair.
That's a good point.
I'd like to see how they go once he's back. But of course, if they do blow it up with trading Giannis, I hope they move Dame very quickly after, because I do not want to see his career dwindle away in Milwaukee. You know what? Trade him back to Portland. Dame, back to Portland, where you belong, mate. The greatest trailblazer of all time. And we'll give you... He is.
Clyde?
No.
No?
Sorry, Clyde, you're number 2. And we'll give the Bucks. Here's my trade proposal for the Bucks.
Listen up, Bucks.
Denny Avdia. Jeremy Grant.
Oh my god.
Delano Banton.
Your 3 least favourite players on the team.
And we'll chuck in a second round pick as well.
You know who you might chuck in as well? Chauncey Billups.
Yes, have him. Goodbye. So there's my trade proposal. It's on the table. Take it, Bucks. Yeah. Do not let Dame dwindle away in Milwaukee if Giannis is gone.
Speaking of Portland, anything you want to cover off? Obviously, your team.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to get this off my chest, you know. Shaden Sharp, Kling Kong, that's his new nickname. You heard it here first. The Trailblazers announcers use that. Donovan Clingan. These 2 guys were phenomenal the other day. In our second game against Minnesota, we'd won the first. We go in there. No one thinks we're going to beat them 2 games in a row. A top team in the West. And Shaden Sharp goes out there, drops 33 points, has a couple of highlight reel dunks, which you guys better get used to. And Donovan Clingan almost has a triple-double with blocks. He had 17 points, 12 boards, and 8 blocks. So, Portland's youth, obviously this was a very happy game for Trailblazer fans, you know, seeing these 2 young guns shine bright against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Especially considering how bad you've struggled this year. With Anthony shooting woeful numbers and Jeremy Grant just throwing up bricks for a living.
Well, that's why I want Jeremy gone. But Ant will turn it around.
I hope so. Have not. You made me pick him on fantasy.
I'm still... Guys, let me know about this trade proposal, actually. I want Anthony Simons on my team, obviously. I offered Finn Peyton Pritchard for Anthony Simons. If you know, you know. Peyton Pritchard's been cooking this year. Let us know if that is a W or an L for Finn. I think that's a W.
Need some opinions.
What's been happening with the Clippers, Finn?
We're 6-7, I think, or 5-6, one of the 2. We have a game against the Jazz. It'll be done by the time this is up. 2 losses to Houston in a row. Honestly, expected. Houston's probably a better team. One of them we were close. The other one we got blown out. James Harden tied Ray Allen for second on all-time threes. Pretty impressive, I guess. I mean, you forget that he's there. Obviously, Curry. You'll never reach Curry. You're thinking Dame might beat him by the end of Dame's career.
Dame will catch James Harden. Guaranteed.
I'd love to know. Well, I think James Harden shoots like 36% on his career, so not the greatest. And considering Ray Allen did that in a time where 3-pointers were like the last thing you wanted to take, really goes to show you how impressive Ray Allen's record really was. But yeah, in terms of Clippers, nothing really going our way. Norman Powell was having a phenomenal start to the year. Had an abysmal game against Houston 2 days ago. Terrence Mann has looked shocking. We deemed him untouchable during the off-season. Not sure how happy I'm about that now. I was big on Terrence Mann coming into this season, but he has been pretty awful. Chris Dunn took his starting spot, in fact, so there you go. Zubac has definitely slowing down. Obviously had a crazy start to the season as well. He was looking like a top 10 center in the NBA.
It's never going to be true.
I think he's still around 10 to 15 in terms of centers.
I'll give you that.
But he's definitely fallen off a little bit. Things are clicking. Derek Jones Jr. looks pretty good, shooting like 40% from 3 on the year, so there is definitely some positives in Clippers land, but for the most part we have a negative record. Hopefully neutral after this Jazz game, but yeah, that's about it for Clipper Nation.
A couple other things we want to quickly mention in the NBA world. The Cleveland Cavaliers, still undefeated.
14-0.
14-0 is crazy. When are they going to lose, Finn?
Never.
82-0
82-0 season.
Who knows? At this point, they could be on pace to combat that, was it 73-9 Warriors record?
2016. They lost the finals though. Lol.
It's the best start since then.
It is.
For an NBA team.
I think it's the sixth time someone started 13-0. Oh, well, it might be more than that. It was the sixth team that started 13-0. I'm not sure about 14.
I mean, they're 14-0 and they're currently up on the Charlotte Hornets. So it's going to be 15-0.
Crazy.
And one other thing as well that's happened, Anthony Edwards was fined $35,000 for flipping the fingers. And LaMelo Ball fined $100K for a homophobic slur. Quote. Are these fines too much, Finn? I think...
No?
Nah,
mate, they make millions. This is like pocket change for them. I don't think they care.
It still just seems
LaMelo
crazy
100K for saying no homo, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
35K for giving the bird, I understand, but the fact that is well over double, almost triple what Anthony Edwards got signed for saying no homo in a post-game interview. Crazy work from the NBA. But
LaMelo just needs some media training.
He has none.
He's pretty crazy on the mic.
He's been really good this year, and him in the post-game interviews is so entertaining considering he has no media training. Bro's been famous for not 15 years, for like the longest time since high school. You'd think he'd be able to speak in front of the camera. He had a damn TV show. But he is so dumb. But I love him for it.
He's becoming one of my favorite players in the NBA.
So funny, so likable.
And he's actually really good this season. I think he's averaging 29 a game. One of the top points averages for a player this season. And on not that many free throws either. I think he has the least amount of free throws of any of those top 10 scorers in the
Everyone
NBA.
thought all the bullshit that he was doing at Chino Hills wouldn't translate to the NBA. Or he's taking one-legged three-pointers, just cooking up people. He's entertaining, and it's fun to watch. And I'm just glad he's healthy. Really happy he's healthy, because you never know. He could get injured again. His ankles are made of glass.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked incredible. As is Anthony Edwards. I personally think those fines are... I mean, like you said, I think Anthony Edwards' fine should have been more than LaMelo's for pulling the finger. Definitely not less than half of what LaMelo was fined. And obviously he doesn't mean it. And what happened to free speech? You know?
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
He could have said so many worse
100K.
things. He could have said so many worse things.
And it's not like
he's
actually
not offending
meant
anyone.
it.
He's not offending anyone.
He didn't actually mean it. You know, it's just... That's a saying that some people use. So
he's also young. That's like something people would say on TikTok. It's not that bad. But look, we'll wrap it up there for the NBA. There's going to be a huge episode next week, hopefully with a special guest. But look, how do we round the show? The last episode, the last time we'll go through our top 5 positions for the NBL. This week we're doing centers to round it off. Will, who is at number 5?
Yeah, let's run through this one pretty quickly. I think these are the 5 clear guys in the NBL. At number 5, Isaac Humphries of the Adelaide 36ers. Bit of a slow start to the season for Humphries. Obviously, he's now got Montrezl Harrell as another option that's in front of him. But he's still having a great year down there in Adelaide. Number 4, Finn.
We picked our boy Sam Meninga at number 4, actually. I think he's averaging 12.5 a game. Shoots probably the best from 3 out of all these players on the list as well, which is really likable from a center. Has surprised me this year. His numbers have definitely gone up a lot since Cairns, and I think he's been a very valuable piece for this Breakers team. Who's at number 3, Will?
Number 3, we've got Sam Froling of the Illawarra Hawks. He's listed as a forward, but
traditionally, I feel like he plays center.
He does start at center for Illawarra. You know, kind of like the leader of that team. I think he's still deserving of that number 3 position. Number 2, Finn, who do we got?
We got the big Kiwi from Brisbane, Tyrell Harrison, who he's had a 20 rebound game this year. Just a massive body, really solid down low. Just a really good piece of Brisbane to have. And number 1, Will, who you got?
We got Will Magnay. I think this is pretty clear.
Yeah.
I think he's averaging 14, almost 15 on the season. I think he's quite clearing away the number 1 center in the NBL. Any thoughts on that one, Finn?
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
To be honest. Really good piece. That's about it.
That's it for this week, guys. Tune in for next week's episode, NBA special, with hopefully a special guest right here to join us. Catch you all later.